Toyota Supra or Audi RS3, which should you buy? There's an obvious choice, but they're both about similar price levels now, similar power levels. Both have crazy power capability from simple tuning and bolt-ons. This is a question I notice I've been getting asked more and more as the Supra series has come to an end. So I figured let's sit down and talk about it, enjoy some clips from the Supra and Audi RS3 series, and I want to give you as much information and my philosophy on the subject to hopefully help you make the best decision. And then at the end, you'll have an opportunity to answer a question and create some conversation down below to help other people like yourself in the buying process or hypothetical buying process in the near future. We're gonna talk about performance numbers and statistics for both cars, including tuned numbers, then practicality and daily driver lifestyle differences of the cars, and lastly, any overall thoughts I have on the subject. By the end of this video, I'm hoping you feel confident in one way or the other to make the best decision possible for yourself, and only yourself. So, Toyota Supra 3-liter inline-6 turbo from factory, 3.9 seconds 0 to 60. The Audi is 3.9 as well. Horsepower on the Supra 335, 394 for the RS3. The torque on the Supra is 365. The torque on the RS3 is 354. The Supra is actually 3 inches wider in width as far as on the ground. Now, tuned Stage 2 E85, the RS3 is 585 horsepower. Supra's varies 480 to 550. The torque on the RS3 is 521. The torque on the Supra is about 550, give or take. So they both get a lot faster, like crazy different driving experiences after you tune them and put them on E85. And it's just E50. The power gains after E50 for any car are very minimal, so when you see E50 thrown around, just know it's because you don't really need much more, and if you do run more than that, you're kind of stressing out a fuel pump and you need more supporting mods to get there, so that's just a whole other can of worms. So E50, it's like that's where you get your major power gains before really maxing out factory fuel systems and such. But let's talk about practicality and daily driver lifestyle differences. First thing that comes to mind is addressing the 2 versus 4-door factor. Let's just get this out of the way. This is a big deal for a lot of people, and it's probably the biggest argument in your head at face value. If you're a single dude and the Supra is your only car, there's not a doubt in my mind that you will have situation after situation where, you know, a woman needs your help with something and the Supra just can't get the job done. It's too small, it doesn't have any space, you gotta pick something up on Facebook Market. Like, I could go on and on. That's just something that is the inevitable. First thing that came to mind when I sit down to write this video for some reason. But if she has a bigger car, you might be just fine. Another 2-door situation is you can only fit you and one other person in the Supra, which for a younger guy like myself is not a big deal most of the time, actually like 95% of the time. And that other 5% of the time, I'd say 1% of the time, it's like an actual problem. So you might be in a season of life where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna enjoy it. And I support you in that, as you should, because it's not gonna get any easier to own a 2-door car when it comes to age. There's definitely guys watching this out there that know that they can never convince their wife or girlfriend or whatever that it's a good idea to get a 2-door, and they're very, very, very envious of you right now. So maybe you should just do it, and it might be a bad idea for that 5% of the time, but for those out there who are envious, maybe you should just do it for them. But let's back up a little bit. If this is your secondary car, this is completely irrelevant conversation. It doesn't even matter at this point, which might be a thing for a lot of you, including myself. I have a 2004 Silverado I bought for $4 grand. I put a couple grand into, and I drive that thing more than any other car I own. It is a workhorse. It takes away all problematic issues with cars, whether they're not running, not enough space, uncomfortable, too loud. None of it even matters anymore, because if that's the situation, we just take the truck. We take the truck. Everything's gonna be just fine. I know I lowered it too much and it's stiff and annoying and it's loud and it hurts your ears on the freeway, but no, it's okay. We'll take the truck. And if that's your situation too, I think one of these cars by the end of this video might stick out more than the other to you. So let's keep going. This is the part of the video where things start to get a little fuzzy for me, and maybe for you, and your brain's gonna start to melt between these trade-offs for some of you out there. So let's talk about non-negotiables I need to get off my chest. If you want a nice, capitals nice feeling interior, the Audi is superior. The Toyota Toyota Supra is made by BMW primarily, but I can tell you the interior feels like a Toyota in ways still, and mostly BMW, but like a Toyota in ways still. There's just some things about it that I'm just like, the infotainment of the BMW, the creaks and things of, I swear there's some Toyota things in there that are making noise, and it's just like, the Audi is way nice. It was quiet, soft, everything is so nice, superior interior. Now, if you want to beat every single person on the planet pretty much off of a street light from a dig, we all know you're not really gonna walk an RS3. Probably stock ones even for the most part too. The launch control on those things is no joke, and it's just pure mayhem, especially tuned. It might give you a little giggle beating everyone off the line. It might stroke your ego just right. The Audi might be for you. Just be honest with yourself. If you need that, although the Supra with the right tire setup from a dig can be very, very fast and gap most people. So don't count yourself out if you were wanting those things we mentioned a second ago and you're thinking Supra. Now on the flip side, let's talk roll racing. The RS3 is capitals fast, but the Supra is also crazy fast roll racing. If I had to pick, the Supra is more fun roll racing than the RS3. It is what it is. Let's talk cornering. RS3 is fun. It pulls out of the corners really well, but carrying speed and overall feel, the Supra is one of the best cars I've ever driven from factory. Then you throw some power at it, you lower it a little bit, you put some nice wheels and tires. I can't drive the car hard enough without running out of road or scaring myself, whatever. The car just does everything performance-wise in the corners and carrying speed. It is obnoxious and it's amazing. It's bliss in the corners. In canyons, bliss. RS3, bliss, but does it like really handle corners in the same way the Supra does? No. Does it handle them well? Yes. Can you keep up with the boys and have a good time? Yes. If it was your only car, or you had an RS3, are you gonna have fun going out with a bunch of Supras? Yes. But are you gonna be able to carry as much speed as them as comfortably? No. Just no, you're not. But you're gonna be close, because that thing rips. So, you know, overall, I wouldn't put them like this, but one is just better than the other, flat out. Sound. OCD, RS3, the 5-cylinder, 2.5. Chef's kiss. Dude. Oof. So crisp, so clean, so nice. But the purist side of me, the inline 6, the B58 with the titanium single exited catalyst downpipe, man, it might be a little loud on the freeway, but it is a riot behind the wheel. So both are amazing sounds that you don't really get tired of. And that's where I feel like with this, it's just like both are so insanely good. It's just like they're their own like lollipop flavor. Like which one do you want? They both taste bomb. Something that hit my mind when I was writing this was there's a subset of people that just want a nice car. They want to be an enthusiast, but maybe incognito, or they want to be an enthusiast and go to all the events, but they don't have a lot to say. They don't really care. They just want to live their life with a really nice car and go fast and have fun in the corners and all those things. Like the RS3 is just, it does it all. Like it really does it all for you. It's going to be amazing for those people. But I feel like the more purist you get, the more you lean towards the Supra by the nature of the two-door, the coupe, the chassis, the cornering speed, all that, the straight line capability, the build capability, the, you know, simplicity in the engine base setup and transmission setup, and the rear wheel drive Supra versus the Audi, you know, all-wheel drive. Like I feel like really far purists, it's like super no-brainer. But people who just like nice cars, it's like more RS3. Like I think that just makes more sense. So maybe consider where you're at on the spectrum. Cockpit feel, Supra, very low and aggressive, steering wheel in your hands, in your lap, really fun, harder to get in and out of, more uncomfortable to get in and out of. The RS3 is just a regular car. It's more like you're kind of steering it on, you're kind of sitting in the car, and it's not as sporty of a cockpit feel, but it's just very, very nice. The Supra, you just feel like I just got into a race car. The drastic difference between the RS3 driving experience and the Supra is, the way I would describe the RS3 driving experience is it's like a novelty. It's like a VIP experience to cars. The Supra is more of like an experience, like a car guy purist experience. It's low, it's the cockpit feel, it's 2 doors, it's very tight and small, it feels very fast, the windshield is very short. The RS3, you're sitting up higher, it's very plush and nice and soft, and it has this crazy sound, and it puts you in your seat so crazy when that all-wheel drive digs in, where the Supra, it slides out and kind of all over the place and kind of can scare you. And so you have that to calculate, but then long game, the RS3 with that type of feel becomes very dull over a short to long period of time for you. It just becomes a dull experience. Where the Supras, it takes a long time to become dull compared to the RS3, because by the time you get comfortable, then you're turning off traction control halfway, then you're sliding around a little bit, then you're turning it off all the way, then you go to the canyons and you're carrying a lot of speed and you're like, dang, I can't even push the car hard enough. It's like, it takes so long to make it feel dull that's a huge perk for the Supra in my opinion. The RS3, it's kind of like anyone can be good at driving it type of car, where the Supra, if you want to do donuts and figure eights and not slide off a mountain if the traction control is halfway off, but you can kind of drift halfway around it because you're feeling frisky. Not that I recommend that to anyone, but that's the conversations I have in my head that are very, very valid in my opinion, and very, very vivid when you hit those moments with the car where you think, I just spent, 50, 60K and am I getting bored? Those are the moments where you kind of go, ugh, like, did I make the wrong choice? And that's when you have to like weigh all the options and remind yourself why you bought that car, and remind yourself, if you got the other one, the problems it may or may not cause. So remember why you chose what you chose, but think about that as a big determining factor. If I had to pick one, if it's my secondary car, I'll pick the Supra every single time. I like to get frisky with the traction, carry a lot of momentum in the corners. The reactions I get in the conversations that are caused for non-car people and car people of the Supra is nothing I've ever experienced in my life. So it holds a special place in my heart. If it was my only car, I would for sure get the RS3, hands down. If it was my only car, RS3. You could do most of your day-to-day life, 90% of it with that car, then have to borrow a buddy's truck or rent one whenever you need that. So that's my personal preference. What would you get hypothetically in your situation right now? I mean, you might be able to go buy one right now. You might be thinking about it in the future. You might hypothetically not have the money for a long time, but comment down below, start a conversation. Which one would you pick right now and why? And start some conversations to help some other people out that are in this situation, that are about to spend 50, 60K, whether it's cash up front or financing it. The cars are gonna devalue at different rates, which is a part of the conversation also. So those are things to keep in mind, to look around for, to pay attention to. This is my philosophy on the two cars and why I would pick one or the other. They're both amazing experiences with a similar price point, similar power levels, but honestly a very, very drastically different experience. But also it's all encompassing the things that we all love and that bring us together as car enthusiasts. If you need any car parts, check out karmaspeed.com. If there's parts for your car that aren't on the website yet, that me and my team haven't added yet, please email support@karmaspeed.com. That would help us build out the catalog. You can support by just getting the parts you'd already buy through us. They all come from the same distributors and stuff. We're hoping to use that capital to reinvest into the content, the culture, and other creators as we go forward, and all these cool things to drive and place Karma Speed and my team as into a deep level of the industry, to keep cars fun in multiple different ways. I could go on and on. The best way to support the channel is karmaspeed.com. If you haven't seen the videos where I do all the modifications in one, check them out right here. You can watch the Supra or the RS3 here if this is your first time on the channel, or maybe you want to go watch it again because you're craving to hear that exhaust note. I don't blame you. See you over there.